Next coming up is Miss Brandy, and she's going to be making Dreamcatchers for us. Hello, Brandy. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing great. So, how did you get into Dreamcatchers?
It just happened to be a spiritual thing. I'm really big into dreaming. I used to have nightmares as a kid, and it just happened to be like a research thing that I did on, how to stop nightmares. And well, as a little kid, if I can say the word, impressionable, um, just fell in love with Dreamcatchers. Uh, so they became a hobby of mine.
Cool. And what are you going to be doing for us today? What are you going to be
Um,
showing?
I Yes, I will be showing you how to make a small little dream catcher. I am going to touch a little bit on a little bit of a backstory on dream catchers because they are from a Native American culture. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. And I apologize for any stuttering. Gwen, I'm calling you out. You've put me in you've brought me out of my comfort zone. So just bear with me, guys. But anyway, dream catchers are from the Native American culture, and whenever I make my dream catchers, I'm obviously not Native American. So I do try to put like little disclaimers that the dream catchers that I make are not authentic Native American dream catchers because I kind of, they're sacred to their culture, their tribes, and I try to respect them by not taking ownership of the dream catchers that I actually make because they're art inspired, they're craft inspired. Um, so I try to separate, that my dream catchers are not authentic dream catchers. Um, but that aside, there are many stories. There's much lore about dream catchers. One that we are all familiar with is that they catch bad dreams. Um, the story that I particularly like whenever it comes to dream catchers is a Native American lore. The dream catcher represents a spirit of the Native Americans. She is called the Spider Woman. She is a spirit that is supposedly known to control the buffalo and protect the children of the tribe. Um, However, once the Native Americans started to spread out across America, it became hard for the Spider Woman to visit the bedside of children and protect them from, nightmares, evil spirits. Um, so the grandmothers, they would weave webs representing the spider to protect their children. Um, so it began when the children were babies. They would weave webs and hang it above their headboards, and they would place a single feather in the center, and that feather would represent like today's mobile. It would entertain the baby. That feather also had a certain significance. It represented air and breath. It was also supposed to, the intention behind it was to supposedly teach the baby the lesson of good quality air, to breathe good air. Um, so I've got my notes. Like I said, I'm nervous, guys. So just, like I said, bear with me. Um, let's see. Okay, so the feather, resembling the feather in the center, like I said, it resembles air. It also had a gender role in Native American culture. Now, if there's any Native Americans out there and I am naive to any of this information, please let me know because I am highly interested in this stuff. So if I'm getting any of this information wrong, please teach me. Um, please. But for the babies, if it were female, a owl feather would be placed in the center, and that represented wisdom. If it was male, an eagle feather would be placed in the center, and that would represent courage. And that was pretty much it. It was just a round hoop, spider web, and the feather, and it was to protect the child. There were no beads. There were no gemstones used. That wasn't really, used in the older Native American culture, supposedly. Again, if I'm wrong, please let me know, guys. That was more, the gemstones were more implemented by the Western nations because the government forbids the sale of the sacred birds' feathers. You can't go out, you can't buy eagle feathers, you can't buy owl feathers. So what we did to kind of compensate for that is we ended up adding gemstones to our dream catchers to represent the 4 elements, earth, fire, water, and air. So in today's modern dream catchers, not only do we kind of stick by the same concept of them, we hang them on our headboards, and that they catch our bad dreams. There is also another thing that we do is they kind of represent good luck. So it doesn't really matter that it's not on your headboard. I've got a huge one hanging downstairs in my living room, literally just for good luck, to pretty much negate any negative energy that enters this house. So what happens is the negative energy gets caught in the web, just like anything that gets caught into a spider's web, and it supposedly allows all the good energy to flow down through the beads, through the feathers, and into the house. Or if you have it over your bed for nightmares or dreams, it allows those good dreams to fall down through those beads and feathers and allows you to dream well that night. So that is my favorite story of the dream catchers, the spider woman, because she protects the children, she protects from evil. But I am also going to be teaching you guys how to make dream catchers. So I unfortunately cannot get my phone. I figured it'd be easier to use my phone because I've got to flip you guys around since we're crafting. So it's going to have to be vertical. I apologize. It's the only way I can get my phone to stand up. So just bear with me. Let me get you guys flipped and I'll show you just a basic dream catcher. Okay. Maybe. Alrighty, let's get. All right. So if you guys have seen the post on Facebook, I believe that there was a list of supplies that we had posted for you guys. So as you can see, we've got our scissors, we've got super glue, we've got a ring here, and we've got some thread, and we got beads over here, and some feathers. Okay. So I'm going to be showing you how to weave a web. So what I like to do is, now these rings can be just about anything. This is, like I said, mine are not authentic. Usually authentic, dream catchers from the tribes, they're made from willow, something from the earth. Mine is, like I said, they're craft, they're inspired. They are not authentic. This is a bangle, a child's plastic bangle. It's a closed ring. You can't open it. This is what makes it, easy to weave. You don't want that crack at the top, that the thread kind of, goes through. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our string and we're going to kind of wrap it around just to kind of measure it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to go ahead and cut it. So now you're going to take this edge of the string. Go ahead and get that out of the way. And you're going to loop it. What we're going to do is we're going to attach the string to the ring. So you're going to loop it, put it behind the ring, and you're going to grab the rest of the string and pull through. So if I can work my fingers through. So see, you're going to pull this string through. Okay. So now I'm right-handed, so I like to have my long string over to the right. So I'm going to put this up here at the top. And this is where your super glue kind of comes in handy, because you can take it and you can put just a little dab of glue there to hold it in place. Let's see if I can open it up. There we go. Well, okay. I'm just going to kind of smear that on there. I'm not afraid to get super glue on my fingers. I've done it so many years, it's ridiculous. Okay, so now that we've kind of got this secure, see, it's not moving anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. We are going to start weaving. So as you can see, my string is in front of this ring. And you know what? Let me lay down a white cloth. You guys might be able to see that blue against. There we go. There we go. You guys might be able to see that better now, hopefully.
Okay, unfortunately, I think we lost Brandy for a moment. I'm going to try to get her to come back in. All right, well, we're going to wait for her to come back in and see how that works out. Just make sure everything kind of rolls itself in. We'll pop. There she comes. And it stabilizes. It did. Awesome. Hello.
I'm sorry.
Honey, what happened?
Well, all right, so let's try this again. Hopefully you guys can see the ring a lot better on the white.
Yep.
I wasn't really thinking about that, but I'll flip you guys back around here.
Okay.
There we go. All right, so we're back. So, okay, we're up against this white background now, so hopefully you guys can see me a little better. So, like I said, I work right-handed, so my string that I'm going to be weaving is to my right. The first, let's see if I can bring this in a little closer to you guys. So what you're going to do is it's above the ring, okay? It's not underneath, it's above the ring. So what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of grab this right here, and then you're going to take it back behind the ring and bring it up through the loop between the ring and that string that you're holding. Okay, so you're just wrapping it around that hoop. And then that is the beginning part of your web. Okay, so you've got this string right here. And that's pretty much all you do around this entire ring. Now you can, make them as small as you want. Obviously, if you make them smaller, the web is going to be woven. It's going to be a lot tighter. If you make them a lot larger, you're going to have a relatively large and open web. So it's very customizable. You can just kind of figure, just if I can talk, Get a feel for how you want it and just make it any size you really, however you feel like, just whatever size you want. I like it right about there. So I'm going to leave it. Now you want to try and make sure that each time you loop around, it's about the same length. So we're going to do it again. It's over the ring, under the ring, and through the loop there that's made. You're going to pull it through. Now see, that's just a little bit longer, so I'm going to kind of shorten it up a little bit. That's a little too short. It doesn't have to be perfect, because these things can be made, they're for you. This is a project, where you can put your imagination into it. It's fully customizable. You can use whatever colors you want, whatever beads you want, whatever feathers you want, whatever color feathers you want. You can just make it simple. You can make it super elaborate, which I will be posting pictures of Dreamcatchers that have been custom ordered. I've had several Dreamcatchers, people ask me to make certain ones, be it to fit a certain house theme, such as a kitchen with apples or wolves. Surprisingly enough, I actually had a person ask for me to make a Dreamcatcher with the theme of John Deere. Yes, John Deere as in the tractor. And I did put a tractor in the web. So after my little presentation here, I will be posting some pictures of those in the actual Pagan Pride Facebook page where this event was, advertised. So you guys can kind of have a look and see, kind of the stuff that I've done. But you just keep on going around the web. Always make sure that you're holding that last knot. The last knot that you did, if you hold it, it keeps everything else here tight. That way it doesn't fall back or collapse. Now, if it does collapse, you can always maneuver it back. Like this here, I've got it caught on that first knot. There we go. So, say for an example, you're not holding this tight and all these kind of come back all the way around, So for an example, it would do this. It would come all the way back here. Okay, so see, you got that little teeny tiny thing. It's nothing to worry about. Your Dreamcatcher obviously is not ruined because, you can still manipulate the string. You can bring it back out and then you can work it back into where you need to go. Okay. Now, as you'll see, you're going to have a little gap from where you're ending and to where you started. You're going to want that. You don't want it to come up all the way back over here to the very top, because then you won't have, well, you'll see here, because instead of using the ring now, you're going to attach this string to this string. So instead of wrapping this string around the ring, you're going to start wrapping it around the actual string that you have created by wrapping it around the ring. Okay, so it's the same process. Okay, you're going to have it go, and it is the same process for me. So what I like to do now is bring this underneath, because I like to push it up through here. Okay, you're going to push it up through the loop. And then well, if I can grab it, there we go. So here's the string, the last knot, here's the string, and I've pulled it up between the ring and this very first string, the very first, part of the web that we made. So it's between these two right here. You're going to now push it down through that loop and just pull it, okay? So now you're wrapped around that string. And you can sit there and bring it right to the center, like so. Now you're going to hold that tight. You're going to hold that knot. Always hold the last knot to keep everything in place. Okay? So now we're up here to this string. You're going to do the same. You're going to just push it right up through. Okay? And then you're going to push it right down through this loop. Okay? And then you can bring it right back down to the middle. So this is a repetitive process. You just work your way all the way around the ring till you get to the center. Okay? Now, I'm going to put just a little dab of glue right here because I'm going to lay this down for a second because I'm going to show you guys how to weave in your beads as well. So I'm just going to put a little glue there so I don't have to hold it. Okay. Now, if you're working with beads, now I've got two sets of beads here. We've got these little beads right here. And I've got some purple ones. There we go. You guys can see them. So we got some purple ones. And we got some of these multicolored ones. Okay. So obviously as you're working around, your web's going to get smaller. So that's what these purple beads are for, more or less, is to be more in towards the center, or else your bigger ones are more out towards the outer ring. In order to easily thread your beads, I recommend taking your string and adding some more super glue to it, because that's going to harden up that string and make it a lot easier to thread through those beads. You're just going to rub that glue in and you're going to twist it until it dries. And now you've got a hard end that you can thread through these beads. That makes it a lot easier. You don't have to worry about your string fraying. So let's see if we can find the hole. There we go. So see, it's just like putting a needle through. And all you have to do is pull through. Okay. So now when you're working with beads, it's the same concept. It just gets a little bit more complicated because you got to pay attention to where it's at in your web. Now once you get the hang of beads, I usually string all the beads that I'm going to use on the string, and I'll show you an example here. So that's just one bead. I'm going to go ahead and string two more on there to kind of give you an idea of how I do it. So we're going to thread two more on there. So now we got 3 beads. All right, so the way I work it is this next one is going to come up here to the center of this string here. So I don't want to include these 2 beads. So I'm going to bring those down. So I want this bead to be right here. Okay, so I'm going to, usually I pinch that knot if we haven't glued it, that, you know, I'll be holding that last knot, and I'll be using my middle finger to hold this bead back. And then drop that back down because we were coming through the back. So you're going to do the same thing that we have been doing. You're just going to weave that web. You're going to push up through, and you're going to bring those beads up with you. So those 2 beads that we don't want, we're going to push up along here with us. There we go. Now push them up. That way they can slide back down. And then you can also use them kind of as a counterweight to drop them down there. See how they just kind of drop down in there? Makes it a lot easier. You can use them as a weight to help you get that string through. Then you can center it, and there's your first bead. So you can weave your beads on there, or you don't have to. You know, this again, I can't express it enough. This is definitely a project for you to express your own creativity. You don't have to have beads. You can have as many beads as you want. You can, like I said, you can be as elaborate or as plain as you want. So I don't want another bead here. It's just how I'm feeling. Don't really care to have one there. So I'm just going to leave those 2 beads there. I'm going to still pull up through. Push them through. And then you can use them as a weight, like I said before, to drop them down through. And it's always best to go wide. It's so much easier to pull this string back and come to the center, okay, than it is to, you know, say you're doing it here and you can't pull it to the center. So whenever you've gone too far, just let go of your string. That loop loosens up, and you can work it back this way, tighten it, slide it back to the middle. Okay, and there we have another part of the web done. Now I'm going to add another bead. So middle finger is going to hold that bead right up against my thumb here so it doesn't drop down on the string. I'm going to shove that string right up through the center here. Push that bead through. Use that bead to drop through. And bring it back to the center. Like I say, you just repeat over and over and over until you get to the middle and you can't really do anything else. So now we're coming back to where we ended. So this is where we started. This was the last knot we made on the ring. So this is where we started threading the web on the actual web itself. So we are back at the start, and we're just going to keep on going around. So instead of up here, you're going to go here, 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 and here. So I'm going to push this up through, and I'm going to leave that bead there. So I'm going to grab that with my middle finger there. Then drop that down through the loop. Grab it. And bring that to the center. Okay. And there you have beads. You've got about 3 beads there. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw in one of those little ones just to kind of give you an idea how they look. So let's pick up one of my purple ones. Okay, hold that. Again, it's just going to go right up through that loop. See, right up through that loop and down through the loop you're working on. Just to wrap yourself around. Bring it to the center. Now you kind of want to match up the knots. So where this knot is up here, the knot is down here. That kind of gives you that, you know, that perfect web look, you know, the diamond shape. So now we've come across a string with a bead. So if this is our top, okay, we're going to turn around and look up here at the top. Here's this bead here. Here's the knot we're at, the previous one. And here's this string. So usually whenever, I mean, as you can see, you're wanting that string right in the middle. Well, as you can see, this bead is, you're going to have a little bit of a hard time trying to get that knot in the middle of this string right here. So you need to choose, because as you can see, as you pull this knot down, it creates that, the hole right here. You need to choose if you want it up on the upper hand part of, it's going to pull it like this, or you can bring it down and it's going to, position that bead like that. So it's up to you. You just pay attention as to which side of that knot you want that bead on, based on how your dream catcher's hanging, because like I said, here's the top. So I'm going to move this up because this is kind of naked right here. So I'm going to move that up. So let's turn that back around. Here's that last knot we were working on. So I'm going to move it to the left, up through, keep that to the left, and you're going to drop that down through that working loop. And you're going to pull it tight to the middle, and you see how it kind of locks that bead right there in place. And see, now if I would have moved that bead to the right, it would have been here. So if we put that back, there we go, upright, where this is up at top, it would have been right here instead of where it's at. So hold that knot and then just work your way around. Now, due to the fact I've only got about 30 minutes, I'm not going to add any more beads to it. I'm just going to go ahead and start finishing up this web. Like I said, it's just a rinse and repeat of your knots. So we're kind of bare here, so I'm going to pull that right, or to the left. Sorry, dyslexia is kicking in now, isn't it? So, and you can go down in if it works better for you. Now, you don't have to, like how I've been doing it, I go up through that loop and then down the working loop that I'm working through. You can do that, or you can go about the other way. You can go down, if I can get it to go down. You go down and you can come back up like this. It does not matter. It's still, just so long as you're looping it around that thread, that way you can get your web. Okay, so see, that works the same too. You can go down and then back up if that works a lot better. So we'll just go ahead and do that. So I am going to, yeah, I'm going to move it again to the left there. And I'll show you here again. We can go down as well. Down, and you can push it back up through the loop here. See? Turn that tight. And you know what? I think I might do at least one of these to the right, so you guys can see that. So we're going to hold that knot as tight as we can. Gonna go ahead and dive down in that loop there. Now, as you can see, it's going to get a lot harder to weave because these things are getting a lot tighter. Now remember, what I'm using is a little child's bracelet. I do use, 6, 12, 24-inch diameter rings, and I'll show you some of the rings that I use here after a bit. But just make sure whenever you're working and you want that bead to the right, make sure that your knot is to the left of the bead. So you're gonna pull it like so. There you go. See? Then just keep on going around until you're comfortable. I'm probably only going to do 1 or 2 more weaves. As you can see, it is getting harder. String is starting to fray. You just got to try to keep it all together. Oh. It would help if I would grab the right string too, you know. It happens.
Yeah. So, Brandy, how would you tie it off when you're done?
Well, I'm about ready to show you. Like I said, I'm just going to do a couple more weaves here to kind of get this string up off the bead. That, you know, that way it's free to move like that. So I'm going to probably do one more here to kind of finish it off.
Have you ever coated the wax? Because I know in quilting, when we have like multi-threads, we use like an old candle and coat the string with it. Have you ever tried that with it?
I have not, actually. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right there. All right, so as we got this knot here, I still like to kind of keep that pulled tight. So I'm going to hold that. And now you can tie this knot off anywhere, okay? So you can tie it right where I'm crossing this knot here. You can pull it down if you want, which I probably will. You don't want to pull back, because if you pull back, that knot's going to slip back to this knot. Okay, so this one right here is going to be the off limits, essentially. It's gonna slide back. So you can either tie it off up here, so your center can look like this. You can tie that knot off here, and that's how that center will look. Or you can tie that knot off right there, which I think that's where I'm going to tie that knot off. So instead of, you know, going on these strings like how we have been, we're going to be working with the knot that is beside this bead right here. Okay, that knot, if you guys can see it, that knot right there. So the knot here is connecting these two strings. So you're going to come right up here into this loop. You're essentially just going to grab a hold of that knot. Okay. And you're just going to do the same exact thing. You're just going to come back up through. As if my string cooperates. Now about here, you can also, you know, my string's long. I can cut my string off, maybe, kind of shorten it to kind of help with, you know, it not getting so tangled. But okay, so as you can see, we went through and under that one knot that we're doing there. Okay, so hold that tight. Okay. So now we're gonna, since we went over and under, we're gonna go right to left. So drop that down in there like that. Now, as you're dropping down to the right side, you're going to want to keep this loop right here. Okay, you're going to want to keep that loop there. Don't pull it all the way through. And then you're going to come up the left side. If you guys can see, I'm sorry, I'm not on camera. I'm working up high. Let's try that again. My apologies. Okay, so like I said, as before, we went down in the upper part of that knot, and then we came up on the lower part of that knot. We are now going to go down on that right side. We're going to keep this loop right here. Okay, so the loop that forms here, you don't want to pull it all the way through. You're going to come up the left side. If I can grab a hold of it, the glue on my fingers aren't really letting me cooperate. So you're going to come up on the left side. So here's that loop I told you to keep. Okay, so here we're coming up on this left side. So this loop here, you're going to put your fingers through, you're going to grab it, and you're going to pull through that loop. And it's going to wrap that knot right around that knot above it. And then you've got your tied off web. Okay, so this is also where I like to put just a spot of glue. I like to put a spot of glue on both the knot that I just created and the knot before it to hold it in place. So we got the knot before it and the knot we just created to tie off the web. And kind of dab that in there just a little bit. And then you can take your string and you can snip it right off. So there we have a Dreamcatcher web and wing and the ring. So you got the ring, you got your web, and you got your beads. Now some of you will probably want to add feathers. Now you can, I've got some feathers over here. I got real fluffy feathers. They're white. Now I'm going to go ahead and take away this white background so you guys can actually see the white feathers. I know it's kind of complicated. I'll put those beads away for a minute. There we go. And hopefully not drop you guys on your head. So for those of you that want to tie a feather to your Dreamcatcher, you're going to just take a little bit of string. Okay. And here's your little loop here. Okay. And you're just going to pull those strings through that loop like so. Okay. So now you have your string attached to your loops. Now I like to add beads to my feathers because it helps a lot with you know, attaching the feathers to the actual string. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find an edge. There we go. All right, so let's get my beads back out. So as you can see here, this is where we're going to be attaching our feathers. So I'm going to add a small bead and a large bead. Okay, I'm going to throw that up out of the way. Now, I've got a medium-sized feather here, and you're probably like, okay, how do we attach this? So what we're going to do is, the very tip of this feather, you can see that there's a little bit of a headspace right there. I'm going to take some of these feathers here, and I'm actually, some of you may not like this, but I'm actually going to rip those off. So, and you rip upwards, okay, to kind of clear out more of a headspace. So you see how that creates just a little bit more room for you to work with. So now you got this feather with a workable way to attach it to your Dreamcatcher. So now you're going to want to also take your scissors and you're going to want to cut at an angle. Don't cut across. You want to cut at an angle because that's going to create a sharp point to your feather. Let's take a little bit more off there. All right, so see there we go, maybe. As you can see, that's relatively sharp. It's at an angle. And what we're going to do is we are going to take our Dreamcatcher and slide that bead right down over that feather. Okay, and then you're going to add just a little bit of glue to it there. Just to the string here, to the end of that bead. Kind of let that dry for a second before you cut the string. Or you can leave the string on if you like a lot of frilly stuff to your Dreamcatcher. You can leave the string on to add some color to it. But as you can see here, now this second string here you can add another feather to, but I'm not going to because I'm running out of time with you guys. But you can add more beads, more feathers, you know, to your liking. But that's pretty much how I make my dream catchers. Just a heads up though, you know, there are people who do not like feathers. I have an aunt that despises feathers, and she wanted a dream catcher, so we actually compromised and made tassels. Tassels are relatively easy to make as well. And just a quick demonstration for you guys. All you do is you just take just a bunch of string, kind of fold it over. Okay, so you got all this string. You take another string that you've cut. Let's go ahead and cut this one in half because it's quite long. And just as you have been attaching the string to your dream catcher ring, you're going to attach it the exact same way here. So, you know, you got your loop, you're going to come down and you're going to grab those two strings and pull it through. Now you're going to take one of these strings and you're going to work with it. So pull this other string down with the rest of the strings you've been working with. And you can sit there and you can wrap this around if you want to kind of secure it. So wrap it around that end. Again, bring it up close to you guys. See, you can wrap it around. And then you're eventually going to just tie it off. So see, I've wrapped it around my finger here. I've created a loop. I'm going to drop it down inside that loop. Let's see if I can get my fingers to work. So I drop it. And then you're going to let your finger go and it's going to create a knot right there. Okay. And then all you have to do is take this bunch, snip it, and then you've got a tassel that you can hang off your dream catcher. You know, like I said, this is for, you know, if you want it, or if you have people who don't really care for feathers. You know, there's many different ways to create your dream catchers, and I'll show you here. I'll show you a couple of them that I've got real quick before we go.
And also, do you have a Facebook page where they can get in contact with you if they really just want you to make it for them?
I do. Yes, I do. Like I said, I will be posting pictures of some of my work in the Pagan Pride on the Pagan Pride event page, so you guys can see what I've done, and you guys can reach out to me there. But let me go ahead and I'll throw one of my bigger dream catchers. This is a 12-inch diameter dream catcher.
Wow, pretty.
That I've done, and I'll go ahead and get in close so you guys can see some of the bead work. Now there are times that I do add charms here to the middle. It can be anything, literally anything. I've had wolves, I've had horses, I've had angels. I've made resin centers. You know, it can literally be anything. So as you can see, this ring is obviously a lot thicker too. Now this ring is a ring like this. Okay, it's just wrapped in a bunch of yarn of the color, you know, of choice, which was this brown. But there's many ways to do your dream catchers. Like here's one that I haven't quite finished yet. It's relatively small. If you don't really care for a really thick ring, there's beaded work as well. I don't know if you can. There's beaded rims that I can do as well.
Very nice.
So there's a bunch. There's a bunch of ways to do things.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming and sharing and teaching us how to do that, Brandy, and look forward to seeing your pictures.
Yeah, thank you. definitely, like I said, out of my comfort zone, but hey, it's an experience.
And it so fits in with being mindful and taking time to really think of the energy you're putting in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot of it's very peaceful for me to actually make these things. It's just one of those things that I can kind of just be in my own world and enjoy just being creative. Like I said, these things can be as elaborate. Like I said, I am not kidding. I made a John Deere tractor Dreamcatcher, and I will post that in the page so you guys can see it. I did add a little toy tractor along the rim, the bottom rim of this Dreamcatcher, and I've had some weird requests, but yeah, they're always fun. They're very interesting, and like I said, they are fully customizable. Everything down to the color, down to the bead, down to the charms, anything you want in them. But like I said, just keep in mind, like I said in the beginning, that these are not authentic Native American dream catchers. That these are only inspired by the Native American culture, and I have thrown my own flair into them. And I have, obviously, if somebody wants something in particular, I work with them. I've had pig dream catchers. I've had tiger dream catchers. Look, whatever your fancy, I work with you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, darling. You have a great day.
All right. Thank you.